Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Scary Stories by the Campfire. We are your counselors tonight. I am Jeremy.
And this is Jason.
And tonight we are talking about Friday the 13th, Part 7 The New Blood. Mute that real quick. The New Blood. Gotta
The
love it.
New Blood. Forewarning everyone, I'm having some sort of internet issues. It looks like it's already starting to act up because Jeremy on my screen is now completely blurred out.
Well, this should be an interesting time.
I know.
Kind of like when we had the other Friday the 13th when I was out in the parking lot and my whole laptop just kind of shut off on me.
Yeah.
Oh man, that was oodles amounts of fun. So,
There, there you go. Jeremy's looking a little better on that.
go ahead, Jason, take it away for us.
Oh, this movie. I mean, it wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but it's definitely still like my least favorite of the series right now. It's just I know they were trying to spice it up with a little bit of like the Carrie getting into it, but yeah, because the main girl, um, oh, what was her name?
Give me a second. Tina,
Tina.
Tina.
Tina, yes. Tina was just kind of she had these psychic powers, and that was kind of the twist of the movie. It was Tina versus Jason, an unkillable monster, versus the girl with uh, telekinesis. And I mean, they had some good stuff in the movie, but I think overall it was just kind of eh. It's kind of like the Freddy's 2 or Freddy's Revenge,
The
Nightmare 2 Freddy's Revenge movie.
the forgetful one, the one that you've seen, but you don't really remember too much of.
Yeah, I can never remember this particular movie's like where it falls in line. It's always like, okay, it's this one, this one, this one, and they're like, oh, you forgot, part 7, The New Blood. And I went, yeah, kind of figure why.
That's funny. Yeah, so these characters, um, they were kind of lackluster, all of them. I mean, besides Terry Kaiser. Um, uh,
And Terry Kaiser and Susan Blue.
yep, Susan Blue as Mrs. Shepard. Like they all seemed very like lackluster. Didn't really know any of them. Didn't really care about any of them. Had no connection with any of them. They just kind of blah, just there to be killed.
Yeah, I don't think there was like any real standout characters in this movie besides Tina. I can't remember her love interest's name.
Was it Nick?
Wow, this is
Is your internet acting up again?
a little bit, yeah. A little bit. I'm trying to get the Twitch up so I can actually take a look at, the thing as we're going along, and it is taking like a millennia to load anything.
Hmm. Well, I got it here. So here's a fun little thing. So actors, Kane Hodder. Kane Hodder. This is his first movie donning the Jason hockey mask. What did you think of him compared to other Jasons before him?
Um, this uh this Jason is by far uh my favorite, primarily because he is played by Kane Hodder, and he just brings an intensity to this Jason character. We've seen That's the fun thing about these movies is that all these Jasons up to this point have been played by different actors. So each actor who plays Jason adds a little bit of something different to the character. He either walks a certain way, or maybe this one runs a certain way, or maybe this one just kind of moves a certain way. But now we're going to get into the stretch where Kane Hodder plays 7, 8. I think he does. Jason Goes to Hell.
I believe he does.
Does he do Uber Jason? Does he do Jason and Jason X? If so, we have at least 3 movies with Kane Hodder as the Jason. You're going to see him played with such an intensity and just this brutality to him. He's like, you see him just, and the guy does his own stunts. So stuff you see in the movies, him doing his own stunts. And I think in one scene they actually did drop a roof on the guy.
Oh yeah,
They had him fall through some steps and whatnot.
yeah. I remember you telling us the story about how in an interview he said that the stairs were, they were designed to fall through, but he fell and almost smacked his head onto one of the ones that wasn't meant to break, and if he had, like, it could have done some real damage to him because he fell hard through those stairs.
Yeah,
it wasn't like a light fall. I mean, he went down.
Yeah, that's something that I like about Hodder's Jason is that he's not afraid to actually take those shots and roll with it. Trying to get my
So
no,
fact,
go ahead, Jim.
Fun fact about Kane Hodder's Jason. During filming, Kane Hodder's dressing room was a quarter of a mile down a dirt road. One night, filming ended at 2 a.m., and while still in the costume, he decided to walk through the woods on a path to his dressing room. As he was walking, someone approached him and asked if he was with the movie. He didn't reply because he thought it was a pretty stupid question to ask, as he was standing there in the full Jason costume. When the man asked again, Kane took a little lunge at him and grunted. The guy took off tripping and running, and the next day, apparently, the director John Carl Beauclair told Kane that the local sheriff was supposed to stop by.
Wow. I mean, it makes a lot of sense. But, shooting a movie out there, and you're going to ask a guy if he's part of it when he's dressed up as the character. Yeah, this is working. I have to use my phone instead.
That's right. Use that telephone. Save your internet power for the podcast. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't know why this thing's acting like this. Hasn't been like this in a while.
So, another thing, apparently, Kane Hodder only got the part because he ate live worms on the set of the show Prison, or the movie Prison. And the director, John Carl, pushed to have Hodder in the role of Jason. If not for the director, Jason would have actually been reprised by C.J. Graham from the last movie.
Yeah, I mean, that's not like the worst thing that I've heard. I mean, he's not the. I mean, that last Jason wasn't that bad. I don't think there's really been like a really bad Jason actor. I think they've all played the role the way they were meant to play the role. Let's see here. Kane Hodder did 4 appearances, part 7, 8, 9, and Jason X.
Yeah, so we do get.
And he did the video game, Jason and Friday the 13th game.
So we get 4 Jasons of Kane Hodder. This is gonna be fun, because like you said, Kane, they each have their own way of doing it, but it's like you said, Kane Hodder is that one that just, when you see him, that's his role. Like, there are certain actors who are perfect for roles, and Kane Hodder is that for Jason. Just it's like Robert Englund playing Freddy Krueger. It's their role.
Hey, Jeremy, got something for you.
What's up?
Kane Hodder. Guess what his favorite kill was?
Punch through the
Out of
heart.
all, out of all the Jason movies.
Oh, out of all of them, is it the cryogenically freezing the girl's head and Uber Jason?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Sleeping bag.
So let's
Uh,
talk about the kills. Let's talk
let's
about
talk
it.
about let's talk about the kills.
So, what did you think? Yay, nay, indifferent?
Mm, a little bit of both. A little bit of both. It was some of them were I I'm pretty sure there is something about the MPAA cutting this thing too.
Oh,
I
I've got
just
something for you about it.
okay, because the way that I see it is of these um a lot of these kills were also done off screen. Um, he did he rip someone's heart out in this one? He punch out heart?
Yes,
Who?
it was a dude. I don't remember which one, but he did do it. I do remember
Oh, it
that.
was the guy, the stoner guy in the
Yes.
was it the stoner guy? Yeah. Yeah, a lot of these death scenes were done off screen. I mean, you do kind of get to see the physical aspect of it, the aftermath of it afterwards, but you know, like when he went to Terry Kaiser, his character,
Cruz.
Doctor Cruz, he killed the guy with a weed eater that had like a saw blade on the end, like an actual like
I think
saw
it's
blade.
I think it's for trimming trees.
Yeah, probably, but looked like a big giant weed eater. But he Cruz fell down, and Jason just kind of walked up and stuck the blade in his stomach or whatever, and it just went, and you kind of see it clip it, and then then you just kind of see uh, Cruz just go, ugh, and that was it. That was the scene right there, and it was just kind of like, ah,
That was after Cruz got gut punched down the hill.
yeah. And then that one guy took the machete or the axe to the face, like
Yep.
that uppercut axe hit or whatever, and it's done. You know, you kind of see it from the back where the guy's like, oh, and he falls down. And next time you see him is when his body's lying there, when he's hanging from the tree. You get to kind of see the gash in his face, but that's all you get. I mean, I guess the chest punch, the heart punch or whatever, that was the um uh was the probably the most graphic thing in the entire um
Excuse me.
probably in the entire movie. So
Yeah, and so going off of that, apparently this movie had so many edits required by the MPAA to avoid the X rating, and it had to be submitted 9 times. 9 times.
9 times. I
Nine
just don't think
times.
you see the stuff that the MPAA lets pass through nowadays.
Oh yeah,
This movie wouldn't have.
gotten a PG-13 rating. But
Yeah,
apparently, stands as arguably the most heavily censored entry in the Friday the 13th series.
yeah. It seemed like each one of these movies, as they keep coming out, keeps getting chopped down more, more, more,
And it
and
sucks.
it does. I mean, it's just I guess it's just the product of the times. When did this movie even come out?
Oh, 1988.
88. So yeah, it's just kind of
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just kind of You know, you'd think with what did they say here?
Here here's
I'm
a
trying
fun
to
here's a
trying
funny
to see if
one
there's
for you, Jason.
what you got.
During filming, producers hired Leslie Busby, the local gator man, to be the alligator wrangler and keep gators away from the actors. But since alligators were not active in the winter when they were filming, which was October and November of '87, they ended up paying him to do nothing but watch the lake.
Not that guy's job. That had to have been relatively. Who you would think they would have thought of something like that? They're just like, yeah, someone get those. We need this alligator man to wrangle the alligators, and you would think he would tell them, or maybe he knew he was getting a free paycheck. He was just like, yeah, sure.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I just sit out here and ooh, watch that gator. Oh no, it's a log. Why would they be filming in a place that has gators anyway?
Wow.
Here's what.
I was gonna say, so in the first three films, each film featured a new protagonist,
Mhm. Mhm.
and the next three were the Tommy Jarvis trilogy.
Mhm. Mhm.
This one was supposed to actually introduce Tina to being the new protagonist like Tommy Jarvis and do more movies. But I guess because it didn't do so hot,
Yeah.
they
Who would have
scrapped
thought?
that idea to the
Who would have
curb.
thought? Who would have thought that? You know. Well, I mean, I guess Jean Grey was out of the question.
Yeah.
Everyone calls this the Jason versus Carrie movie, but I mean, kind of is. But
Is it,
there are other people with telekinesis out there. Maybe because she looked kind of like Carrie.
she did have that Carrie look to her. And they teased her like Carrie too, like that one
Yeah.
Melissa or whatever
Okay.
her name
Okay.
is.
First of all, there was only really one person who teased her, and that was Melissa. And Melissa she was the only character that really deserved like the death,
Her death
except
was
maybe
hilarious because she
except
opened the
maybe
door and he's just standing there.
what did he hit her with? He hit her with something and then
An
threw
axe.
her. Oh, did he just like whop it into her head and then just kind of throw her over the TV?
Oh, it was so funny to watch because he threw her like a rag doll, and then when they tried to go out the door, he got like hunched over, like can't go that way, can't go that way.
The climax of this movie was by far one of the semi biggest letdowns ever. It was like they had this big grand scale battle where she's dropping roofs on him, she's electrocuting him, she's uh, catching him on fire, you know, and knocking him downstairs and stuff. You're like, man, this battle is crazy. It's kind of one sided because she doesn't have to live. She doesn't have to lift a finger. But then she gets him out there on the dock, and then she just gets really angry, and her dead dad comes up through the bottom and pulls Jason down, and that's the end of it. It's like, so you're telling me, I don't know what the time span was between part 6 and 7, but Jason was down there long enough to rot because this Jason had like the exposed back and spine and stuff. So that had all deteriorated because that wasn't in the last movie. He had like large fragments of his face missing, which wasn't in the last movie. So he had to have been down there at least long enough to rot a little bit. Good old dad, who's been down there for, I don't know, two, three times as long because he fell into the lake and drowned when she was a small kid. And when he popped up out of the dock to grab Jason, he just had some paint smudges on his face. He was absolutely a normal man. It's like, that guy should have been a skeleton.
No, it'll be looking like Pirates of the Caribbean jumping out of that thing.
Yeah, it was not, and it was just kind of disappointing. You're like, wow, that's, and I don't really want. One part that made me laugh was um the the dead the tongues rolling on each other. Um, the dad, the dad's death scene when he's out there on the dock and
Oh,
she's
he
out
just
on the little.
falls through.
Yeah, well, she's on a little boat. She's like, "I hate you, Daddy. I hate you. I hope you die. I hope you die." And then like the thing crashes out from underneath, and she's like, "No, Daddy." And it's like, you were just like, "Hate you. I want you to die." No, don't do that.
Oh man.
Mm.
So, if there's one thing that these movies have taught us, it's don't do drugs.
Mm-hmm. Which they were doing.
Don't have sex.
Which they were doing.
Don't go skinny dipping.
Which they always do.
And don't change for anybody, which they did in this one. When
Don't.
when what's her name, like, she was like, "You can't take that, man. You can't do it. I'm gonna go get all dolled up, and then I'm gonna die." What was her name? Jane.
Oh yes. Yes, I remember. See, that's how this movie rolled in my head because I don't remember anything of this movie. But this movie is just like a space. It's a void of a movie. It and I'm not saying that I'm it's not Freddy's Dead, but here's the thing. It's not that bad of a movie,
It's just
but
forgettable.
it sits right in that fine line where it's not good enough to be like, wow, remember this movie, and it's not bad enough for you to be stuck with it. Even Freddy's Dead was so bad that we still remember bits and pieces of it. This one just
Power glove.
and you would think with a cast with like Terry Kaiser in it, you would get something out of it, and you just don't. You just remember it as girl has psychic power or telekinesis because she's not sight. Well, she does see visions. She does see like little visions of people dying, and but for the most part, is she's able to move stuff with her mind, and that's the movie, folks. She uses that power against Jason, and um, eh, it's not exciting. It's not that exciting.
I felt like this Jason though, like, it took him longer to get his kills done. Maybe it's because there was just more people to kill, but I just felt like his kills took a while.
I mean, he was racking them up. I mean, he killed that one guy with a tent spike, and then they became like the focal point of the whole freaking movie. It's like, where did the tent spike go? Where? Who? And I mean, they found it at the cabin. It was like stabbed into the pillar thing or whatever. She's like, I gotta get mom and Cruz. And then they come back and it's gone. And she's like, it was right here. No one's wanting to believe her yet. There's this big giant hole in the wall where it was. It's not like she just made a hole there and was like, oh,
What was really
Terry.
cool, or funny, was when Jason is chasing her mom and Terry through the woods, and like he catches up to him, and Terry kind of like takes the mom and is like, "Take her."
He's like using her as a shield, as a human meat shield is what he was doing. He specifically put her in front of him, and yeah, that didn't really help. They killed RC, even though she didn't do anything in this movie either, except for that hair. That hair was working for her.
So, Carrie Noonan, who played Paula in Part 6, actually read for the role of Tina when she thought the
Paul.
title was Birthday Bash. She quickly realized it was a Friday the 13th film and confessed that she had starred in the last movie.
Whoa, whoa, whoa! She played who?
Paula.
Paula. Who's Paula? She was in the last movie. You said right?
Yeah. Paula was,
I got.
wasn't that the girl in the car?
I
The
have to.
girlfriend?
I don't. No, that was Megan,
Oh.
the one who survived. But let me see here. Carrie Noonan, Paula.
Oh, that.
You're not gonna give me any sort of like. Wonder if she was like one of the other camp counselors.
Wow, this was the final role for Walt Gorney, who was the narrator in this film and Crazy Ralph in the first two.
Crazy Ralph was in this movie.
He did the narration
I when?
at the very beginning of the movie.
Uh,
This is also the last movie for Friday the 13th that uses any footage from previous movies in it. So we're done with the recaps, Jason. We're done.
yeah. Oh,
No more recaps. No more recaps. No more recaps. Haha.
no more recaps.
You know what I do?
Oh, Paula was the one who she was the one who is like the last, I guess, technical counselor that was killed. Sissy was the one in the bedroom trying to wake her, saying that they were out there trying to scare her. And then
Oh,
Sissy
yeah.
got pulled out the window and had her head twisted. And then Paula went in. How forgettable of a character are you when even the people who were making the movies were like, no, no, come in. Read this role. That'd be great. Oh, oh, you were in the last one?
Who'd you play?
Let's take a look real quick. Ah, that's right. You do look familiar. Wow, how forgettable were you?
Especially
I
because
mean,
this is like, what, 1 year later? She couldn't have
this is
changed
only
looks
yeah.
that. She couldn't have
No, she
changed
can.
like appearance that fast.
Man, unless it was her hairdo. Her hairdo changed and everything changed. But yeah. So,
Wow.
wow, what?
In all four films that have Kane Hodder, he does not blink whenever his one good eye is visible on screen. It's a very specific detail.
Very specific detail. We want you to stand there and look imposing, and I'm not going to blink. Well, we didn't say that. You can blink. No, I have no eyelids. I will not. Jason doesn't have no eyelids. Jason will not blink.
Oh, that's funny. Every death apparently takes place at night.
Huh?
Every
This
death in
movie.
this movie took place at night.
Yeah, I would think most of them would take place at night. Not gonna get a whole lot of daytime deaths.
And then much of this film's score was recycled music from Manfredini's from his previous Friday the 13th films.
Oh, recycled music. You can't do it. This movie had nothing ordinary or nothing original to it. It seemed like, except for psychic powers.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
There's a new nickname for this movie, Jason.
What?
Are you ready? Because of the movie
Yeah.
being heavily censored by the MPAA, this fans have nicknamed this movie Friday the 13th, The No Blood.
Actually, that's kind of funny. I mean, God, this movie is just so.
Oh, that's
Ugh.
so funny. And apparently, the director always referred to this movie as Carrie versus the Terminator.
Why are they trying to make a movie with two movies that really shouldn't go together? Oh God, that's. Oh,
Oh my god, that's funny.
I just had a pop up.
That's awesome, though.
Carrie versus the Terminator. I mean, maybe. Yeah. Wonder who would win.
Carrie or the Terminator? Hmm. Hmm.
Probably the Terminator.
Maybe.
I mean, I don't think she had it. She even have control of her powers? I don't think she had any sort of control of her powers.
Not till the
She
end of the
more
movie.
she she was
And book.
well. I mean, I assume that she'd end up getting herself killed before she killed the Terminator.
So
Conversation's getting weird.
overall, characters in this movie sucked.
I mean,
They were just cannon fodder.
to an extent, yes. I mean, they all were useless characters. They all had basic traits, and
You had the pothead. You had the popular one. You had the nerd.
you had you had the you had the stoner, which was really weird because the two girls were fighting over him.
Yeah,
It
the
just
nerd
seemed
and the other girl.
like I kept thinking of it as like Daphne and Velma fighting over Shaggy. It's just weird. It doesn't work.
Then you had the dude working on
But
his
you had that
film screen.
sci-fi writer guy,
Oh, dude.
who Melissa, who is a complete bully in this, um,
Astro Mummy.
used him because who is the main guy's name again?
Nick.
What?
It was Nick.
Nick?
Yep.
Nick.
Nick.
Nick. Yeah, apparently she liked Nick and Nick liked Tina and Tina liked Nick. So she decided, hey, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna take writer guy upstairs. I'm gonna get him stripped down, and Nick's gonna come in here. He's gonna be all jealous, and I'm gonna run off with Nick. And guess what? Nick never showed. Nick never even cared. So about when they were when the writer guy was getting all into it or whatnot, she was like, you know what? I'm not doing this. I was just using you to make Nick jealous, and well, Nick's not here, so you're useless. I don't, yeah, yeah. And so he went downstairs and got killed, and then she was actually what, like the last teenager kill.
Yes, she was, because they didn't kill Nick. He rode in the back of the ambulance.
They didn't kill Nick, and he was kind of a boring character too.
It seems like he's the first, though, like, love interest of the final girl not to die.
No, Paul Holt from part two. Remember
Oh, yeah, Paul Holt!
Paul Holt?
I forgot
Yeah,
about him.
Yeah, I don't. Whatever happened to him? Did they ever say what happened to him? Did he?
So, two out of 7 movies have survived
I'm
being
gonna
the love interest.
I need to see.
Because that's crazy, though. Because
Uh
in part 3, he had his eyes, like, popped out of his head. Part 4, I forgot what happened in part 4.
Let's see here. By the time Ginny awakens, now this is part two, people. Don't get this confused with this nonsensical movie. This is part two. By the time Ginny awakens, Paul has vanished, and she gets no response as she calls for him while being placed in an ambulance. Paul's fate is ultimately left ambiguous, though it is strongly implied in the following film that the scene where Jason attacked Ginny unmasked was a hallucination. So he just disappeared. So we ain't gonna count Paul. Paul just disappeared. He's gone.
He's like, bump this noise. I'm out. I'm going to New York.
I'm going. Don't go to New York. Jason goes to New York in the next movie. Which, wow, that's gonna be interesting. Can't wait for that one.
It sucks that Kane Hodder gets stuck with the movies that get like bad writing or the bad rep.
Yeah, I mean, but he does make it the most enjoyable movies.
Oh, that's true.
I mean, like I said, the scenes that he was in this movie, the scenes with Jason and whatnot, they were fun scenes. Don't get me wrong, like it's not like this whole entire movie's trash. Kane Hodder does a phenomenal job with Jason. Like I said, the final fight scene between Tina and Jason are it's really fun to watch because, like I said, you get a lot of destruction. You get you get the Jason set on fire, roof smashing down on top of him and getting thrown through the floor.
Heck, they blew the house
Staircase.
up.
Yeah, they blew the house up. I just think that the ending was a bit of a letdown because it was that dad just kind of popping up like Jason does in the end of all his movies, just bursting through the dock, grabbing him and dragging him back into the water, and that's the end. You do get to see more of Jason without his mask in this one. Like I guess she got real mad because he threw nyah across the room, and she was like, "Ooh!" and she was squeezing his mask on his head, and the thing just snapped off, and he was just like, "What?" And he had like that ugly face of his,
He was all
and
like,
yeah, like his whole like
oh.
some of his top lip was rotted away, so he's just like,
But what's funny is when she was tightening it, you could see like the oozing liquid coming out of the back of his head.
and yet none of that was there when it snapped off. At least as far as I'm aware, maybe he just wiped it off. But he's like, ugh, gooey bits, ugh, and slinging at her.
So,
You know that pussy goodness.
Jason, on a scale of 1 to 10, what
Oh
do
God.
you give this movie? And you gave the
Uh,
last one a 9.
this one is gonna. I'm gonna give it a 5. I
Ooh.
don't want to be. I was thinking about giving it a 4, but I actually bump it up to a 5 because, like I said, there's a lot of good stuff in it that involves Kane Hodder's Jason. Um, the action scenes. Uh, I think the last movie was just really good in the sense that it got like the humor right. I mean, the other movies weren't humorous, but when you watch them, you can make fun of them because some of it is kind of campy. This one, I think they knew it was kind of campy and they did the humor right, and it really accentuated what that movie was, what it was. This movie didn't have that at all. It was like a total reverse. It was almost like they were just they just forgot what they were doing with the series. They just kind of rehashed an older movie and threw in psychic powers, and it the characters are forgettable. Um, the like I said, really the only shining thing is you know Kane Hodder's Jason because Kane was doing all his own stunts, so that's why it gets bumped up to a 5.
I'm going to give it a 5.5.
Always gotta outdo me.
No, I
Next
don't.
time you get okay, guys, listen up, all listeners out there. Next week when we do Jason Takes Manhattan, Jeremy can go.
Fine, I will. I give it a
No.
5.5 because I like Terry Kaiser's character.
Oh my. Oh, no.
I do. I thought it was an interesting idea to throw into it. I think the psychic powers were a bit off, but I like her being there with a therapist to relive childhood trauma.
Yeah. Here's the thing. I get what you're saying, but when you tell me that you got a movie with Terry Kaiser in it, I'm thinking weekend at Bernie's, and you giving me this? He wasn't even funny. He wasn't even funny. I don't think I laughed at one thing he did.
I laughed
Maybe he
at
was trying to make it.
I
Maybe he was
laughed
trying
at
to
a
be a
couple
serious
things
stuff.
he did.
I
Sticking
really laughing.
sticking poor Tina's mother in front of Jason. I laughed at that.
He kind of reminds me of Paul Reiser's character in Aliens, Burke. He was kind of like the guy who set everything up for the Marines to go out,
Oh yeah.
and right there when all the stuff is hitting the fan, they're like he tries to be the conniving villain and book it out through the back, leave the grunts there to die or whatever, and then he gets picked off by himself. That's how it goes. But yeah,
That
it's
makes
just kind
sense.
of yeah, he kind of reminded me of that character.
Well, Then going into what
Da,
we
da, da,
rank
da.
Jason for this movie.
Oh, Jason, this movie. What I
I'll
give
go first. 8.5.
8.5. What I give him last week?
8.
Gave him an 8.
I give him an 8.5. I think Kane Hodder's good. I think him doing his own stunts really good. His makeup was really good. Um, Mostly MPAA stuff. I wish I could have seen more.
I'm
I
gonna give this one.
That and the continuity errors that I saw. For example, the chain when he's down in the water and it's all rusty, or it's all rusty, and it breaks, and then when he's out of the water, it's like super shiny except for that one little rust spot. Yeah.
He got some of that cleaning stuff. Maybe it's the murky dirt in the water, Jeremy. It just made it look rusty. I'm gonna give him an 8. I'm gonna tie him up with the last one because he scores higher than the rest because first of all because it's Kane Hodder, the most influential of the Jasons, but you know all the points you had already pointed out. He did his own stunts and stuff like that. He was just he this one just he's like a bulldozer. You close the door, he's kicking that door in. He's coming through walls. He's Kool-Aid manning this stuff. There is no stopping this guy.
I laugh when he jumped through the window and he's all like crunched down, jumping through the window. He's just like, ah.
Yeah, yeah, he's going through windows. There's no more of that. He doesn't do any more sneaking around. So the other Jason would do like the stalking and the waiting, and now this guy he doesn't do it. He's
Mm-mm.
coming at you, and he's going through walls to do it. I give him an 8 because I know it's a little bit different having him do like the last half of the movie without his mask. But darn it, I came to see Jason and I want to see a mask. I want the mask.
Not the monkey face.
Not that whatever zombie face. The zombie face wasn't that bad.
I wonder if
Like
Tommy
I said,
Jarvis made it.
I don't know. I wonder how they fixed the mask for the next movie.
There,
Oh, no, 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 no. He gets a new mask. That's what it is. I
yeah.
remember now because I was like, how does this tie into the next one? The next one, he gets it from the guy in the beginning of the movie.
Yep. Yeah, the next one is where he spends most of his time on a boat.
Yeah, the movie is called Jason Takes Manhattan, and I think only the last 20 of minutes of the movie actually take place in Manhattan. Probably due to budgetary reasons. They had like the big trailer where the trailer where they showed like all the different scenes with Jason in Manhattan. Everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And then, yeah, somehow they got a cruise ship or some sort of big giant boat in the lake somehow, and apparently it's attached to a river, and it takes them out to the ocean. Which does that make Crystal Lake a body of salt water? Is it like Crystal Bay?
Mm.
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a thing where you can have a body of fresh water and it leads out into a body of salt water.
Rivers
I
do
guess.
that all the time.
Yeah. Well, I know the ocean's not flowing into the lake. The lake would have to be flowing out to the ocean. So
That's funny.
I don't know. It's just weird. They're like, let's put it on a boat. And
Well, now we get into the fun.
tomato meat tour.
Yeah, we do.
Tomato tour.
Oh, right. The tomato meter. 35%.
Um, that's critics.
Yes.
I agree. I agree. It was a low scoring film for me, and it didn't really have anything that would sate anyone's appetite. I mean, the only real new thing they added to it was psychic powers, and that's it. And to be quite frank, even those aren't real stand outish.
Carrie versus Jason should be a slam dunk, but there are simply too many unmemorable characters pulling focus. The production is marred by MPA cuts and studio interference that virtually guaranteed that the film never stood a chance.
Yeah, I think if you just slapped down on a piece of paper and said, "This is what we want to do," Jason or Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, wham, hashtag Jason versus Carrie, you're gonna blow minds. But I think the problem is that you just get too many people's hands in the cookie jar at one time. MPAA, they didn't like any of the Friday the 13th movies, so they're doing everything they can to cut those down. Even though I'm pretty sure they had much gruesomer movies out at that point. Um, I mean, did we ever get like a Nightmare on Elm Street movie that was completely hindered by the MPAA?
No,
No.
not that I remember. Well, this movie
I mean,
did 2.8 million for a budget, 8.2 million on opening weekend, and 19 million worldwide. So,
I mean, it made its money back, but still, it's
I agree with the tomato meter. I think it could be a little higher, but I agree with it.
30. But well, at least critic wise, 35. I'm surprised you got that high.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it deserves anything above a 40, but
Now, give us the fan.
uh 37.
Everybody's a critic in this time, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I could see why. You come off that completely amazing part 6, and you got to come to this dumpster fire. So,
The anxieties suffered by Tina throughout the film are well thought out by the franchise, but the franchise is typically one-dimensional standards.
Tina did have some sort of character growth. I do, I do agree with the fact that Tina wasn't a bad character. Out of some of the main female protagonists throughout this series, Tina's probably one of the stronger ones because she had that, incident where she killed her dad with her psychic powers, and she's just trying to be able to control them. And whenever she gets emotional, she loses control of it. And yeah, there are some scenes where you kind of see her trying to go through the trauma and stuff. I just think they didn't handle it the best way.
Yet another terrible entry. The kills were far too predictable and the ending was mediocre. Again, not gonna waste my time.
And yet he probably went and saw part 8. Yeah, I hate to tell you, the future of this series is not going to peak again. We are now going downhill, and we're going in a rapid rate.
Oh man, we are going downhill. We've jumped on the bobsled and we are going.
Yeah, we're about halfway down the hill now. We're already.
We
Uh,
flying.
the only thing we can say about these, like Jason Takes Manhattan might be another problem movie because this one was problematic in the fact that it was just kind of boring. There was no real spice to it except for the psychic thing, and like I said, they didn't really use that to any sort of major effect. I think Jason Takes Manhattan is going to be our next kind of sluggish movie to get through. There might be like some real kind of campiness to it. Jason Goes to Hell, yeah, might have some campiness to it. Might be. Jason X is probably going to be the next kind of like real fun one because that one's just all camp. It's like if you go into that movie thinking you're going to take it seriously, you need to walk out now. That one's meant to be just the most over the top movie, and it is. It's over the top. So
Oh, it is. God, I can't wait to watch it.
yeah,
And it's going to be great because now it's funny that you say we're on the downhill trend, but we're almost done with the Friday the 13th series.
Yep, already we are almost done.
And then we have Uber Jason, then we got Freddy versus Jason, and then the 2 remakes.
The Nightmare on Elm Street remake and the Friday the 13th remake. I think I want to do the Friday the 13th remake last because compared to the Nightmare remake, Friday is hands down the best one. It's probably one of the best remakes out there, in my
I
opinion.
agree.
I've said it several times. Very few movies do remakes right. The Fly, Friday the 13th, those 2 right there, probably the best. Probably the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake was probably also a pretty good one. Um,
I personally think the Evil Dead remake was one of the best.
I'm not gonna say that you're wrong. I'm gonna just I'm just gonna go out on a limb and say it might not be a remake. Who knows?
Question mark?
Yeah, I think the way they described that movie is kind of like it could be a remake, it could be a sequel, it could be whatever you want it to be because apparently they were talking about the Necronomicon being able to just kind of fudge with time and space. So it could replay kind of the same events, kind of over the course. So yeah, I'd say it's just whatever you want it to be. You want it to be a remake? It's a remake. You want it to be a sequel? Let it be a sequel. Just roll that dice and see what happens. But no, Friday the 13th is definitely a remake, and we're gonna get to that one at the end. That's that's our caboose. And what did we learn about cabooses, Jeremy?
That's where all the staff members live.
There you go. That's the yeah. I actually quick side note. I spent some time with Jeremy, um, and over where he's at, and we went to a museum, little Florida history museum. It's very interesting, very fun time. Got to see some old timey farm stuff and plantations and natural Florida wildlife. But we did learn that the caboose, which is ironically, I didn't know what the caboose was. I just thought it was the end of the train. I didn't realize that's where like the actual staff of the train can sleep and cook and do all their activities in the back of the train. So
Man, 1910 times were weird.
yeah, but John Tron, but yeah. So
Well,
gotta,
everybody,
gotta
that's all the time we got tonight.
whoop
Um,
whoop.
we will see y'all next weekend for Jason Takes Manhattan.
Or just takes a block because he doesn't have a whole lot of time in
He
New
takes
York.
Times Square. That's what it is. That's all he gets.
Nah, he doesn't really take that. He kind of walks through it. And they actually they did do the shooting in Times Square, and they had portions of it barricaded off, so you know outsiders couldn't get in there, but apparently fans could still see it filmed. And people, I guess Kane Hodder said that was his favorite experience being Jason because people were all looking out there just screaming at him like, "Oh my God!" And he said he had a good time out there, but we'll get to that next week, next Wednesday.
All right, everybody. Well, y'all stay safe. We'll see y'all on Movie Night Monday for Jason Takes Manhattan. And then next Wednesday, same time, same place, same campfire. Y'all have to stay safe and have a good night.
Good night.